came here for what was billed as a finissage event, but I have to say it was a false label. We have the good news that this exhibit will now continue until the 31st of May. So if you know of anyone that you wanted to see, this is not the last week. We have one more month. So please spread it around. The United Nations Outreach Program that I have the pleasure and honor to lead includes the program on the Transatlantic Slave Trade and Slavery, which is mandated by the General Assembly and managed by the Department of Global Communications. We have partnered with the Iziko Museums of South Africa to bring an important exhibit to the United Nations headquarters. It is called Were the Enslaved? Commemorating lives under enslavement at the Cape of Good Hope. As somebody who has been involved in this program since 2011, I did not know the stories that this exhibit has actually shared with us. This is an adaptation of the original version that was shown at the Iziko Slave Lodge in Cape Town in 2022. It examines slavery in South Africa and highlights stories of individuals enslaved at the slave lodge over 3 decades at the turn of the 17th century. I would like to thank the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, as well as the permanent missions of South Africa and the Netherlands who are with us here today for working with us to organize the event tonight and to highlight this very powerful exhibit. I now would like to invite His Excellency, the President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Dennis Francis.
Your Excellency Matthew Joini, Permanent Representative of the Republic of South Africa, Your Excellency Joka Brand, Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Under Secretary General for Global Communications, Melissa Fleming, Chef du Cabinet for the Secretary General, Courtney Rattray, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. We gather this evening to explore and appreciate more about a sensitive chapter in our history. One that is often overshadowed by the larger narrative of the transatlantic slave trade and the existence of chattel slavery. Yet the essence is the same, namely the apparent human instinct to subjugate other human beings. Let me therefore take this opportunity to thank the organizers for creating this revelatory exhibition, shedding light on this important topic, and for their dedication to deepening our understanding of our past. While millions of enslaved Africans were forcibly taken to the Americas, another significant yet less known journey of enslavement was taking place at the very tip of Africa, at the Cape of Good Hope. For 2 full centuries, the Dutch East India Company forcibly captured and deported over 70,000 men, women, and children from Southeast Asia to Cape Town. These individuals suffered immense injustice and unimaginable hardships under the harsh overlordship of their captors and masters. Unlike in the Americas, where most slaves originated from West Africa, those brought to the Cape came from India, Indonesia, East Africa, Mauritius, and Madagascar. Upon arrival, they were stripped of their identities, often remained after the month they arrived, or their country of origin, and more alarmingly, reduced to commodities. In fact, many of Cape Town's slave descendants remain unaware of the origins of their names, reflecting a disconnect from their rich yet painful heritage. The significance of understanding the identities and the forebearers of these people. Who were they? What kind of work did they do? And how have they managed to survive in a hostile, foreign, and violent environment cannot be overstated. Befittingly so, this exhibition aims to answer these questions and more. It seeks to oblige us to reflect on some of these untold stories, honoring the courage, resistance, and resilience of these enslaved people, and their profound but unacknowledged contributions to humanity. This powerful exhibit does not only recount past atrocities, it transforms the site of human wrongs into one of human rights. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as I close, let me share with you that just 2 days ago, I had the privilege of delivering a special address at the New Schools Institute of Race, Power, and Political Economy, where I delved deeper into the enduring legacies of the Transatlantic Slave Trade and emphasized the critical need for reparatory justice. Understanding these histories through discussions like today's exhibition event is crucial, as they not only deepen our appreciation of our shared past, but also teach us valuable lessons about avoiding the commission of certain acts and behaviors in the future. By bringing these harrowing histories into our collective consciousness, we give form and voice to the unseen and voiceless, and ensure that the faces and names of the Cape of Good Hope, at the Cape of Good Hope, are remembered, not as mere objects, but as vital contributors to our cultural diversity. Let us carry forward the knowledge and insights from these exhibitions, fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation of the complex and often painful tapestry of our complex human heritage. Let this process of learning and reflection be another crucial step towards acknowledgement and redress, never forgetting the hard lessons of the past and respecting the sacrifices of those who came before us. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'd like to invite to the lectern the United Nations Under Secretary General for Global Communications, Mr. Fleming.
Mayor and dear colleagues, friends, excellencies, we are here tonight to commemorate those who have endured a terrible fate. Enslaved under horrific conditions at the Cape of Good Hope, they were forced to live their unhappy lives under a brutal system of oppression and cruelty. And this exhibit tells so well the stories of some of those tens of thousands of women, children, and men. And it reveals also their courage and their resilience in the face of appalling atrocities, which included systematic rape, torture, and executions. We learn in this exhibit of those who refused to submit to the barbaric system and who organized resistance and revolts. We stand with those acts of resistance today as we reject all narratives of dehumanization and we reject racism, because those are the same narratives that drove the global slave trade. And for so many dark centuries of oppression across the Atlantic and within South Africa too. And that we were used to justify acts, of trafficking, of forced labor, and sexual violence against countless generations of Africans and Asians, and were traumatized by white enslavers. The legacy of those heinous acts remains with us today. We see it still in prejudice and discrimination, in poverty, and in violence that plagues our troubled world. And it was this sad truth that we acknowledged last month when we observed the International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, and reflected also on this year's themes of freedom, justice, and countering racism. One thing is clear: until the legacies of slavery are addressed, our world will never be truly free. Acknowledging and seeking forgiveness for past wrongs can never negate them, but it may help to create the space to begin working together, to heal intergenerational trauma, to repair fractured societies, and build a more just world. This work is vital and it's also urgent, and it begins, as always, with remembering and with honoring and preserving this history, which is what makes this exhibit such a powerful contribution to that work. So as you walk around and study and observe the exhibit, and learn about the shocking stories of those who suffered under slavery, I invite you all to take a moment to reflect on how far we still have to go to address this terrible legacy, but also on how you and we can make a bigger impact on that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. I'd like now to invite the Secretary General Chef de Cabinet, Courtney Rattray, to say a few words.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, distinguished guests. Let me say what an honor and pleasure it is for me to join with you this morning, this afternoon, I should say, in the opening of this exhibition entitled, Who Were the Enslaved? Commemorating Lives Under Enslavement in the Cape of Good Hope. The exhibit shares powerful stories about enslavement in South Africa. But these stories are not just about South Africans. They resonate far beyond the Cape of Good Hope, in countries in Asia, in our host country of the United States, and in my own country of Jamaica. This resonance is because these systems, the brutal systems of slavery that brought Asians and other Africans into South Africa, and that brought Africans across the Atlantic into the Americas, these systems share certain commonalities. They were rooted in the original lie of white supremacy, which animated and justified the horrors of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, and later on, the Jim Crow laws adopted in this country, as well as the odious apartheid system that existed in South Africa. It is regrettable, though not entirely surprising, that these legacies of oppression and degradation continue to poison our communities and societies to this very day, through racism, poverty, violence, and inequality, and through a legacy of self-denigration, the vestiges of which are still evident in low self-esteem among some, although thankfully among the minority. Let me say that this stain on the collective history has particular meaning for all of us who will take the podium this evening. It is a pleasure and honor for me, therefore, to join with my sister, Ambassador Matthew Giannini, who I should say served as High Commissioner of her country in Jamaica for a period of 5 years. I therefore have no doubt that she knows the story of Queen Nanny of the Maroons, whose resolute resistance against slavery in Jamaica forced the British Empire to the peace table. I'm grateful for the opportunity provided to me this evening to learn through this exhibit about the brave women and men who fought against enslavement in her country. It is disheartening that their struggle for freedom has still not ended, as the legacy of slavery continues to shape our societies today. It is also a pleasure to join the President of the General Assembly, my brother from the Caribbean, who also served his country, Trinidad and Tobago, as their High Commissioner to Jamaica. For a period of I don't know how many years, but it was for a long time. It was just a few days ago, earlier in the week, that he added his voice to the cause of reparatory justice, noting that the quest for justice begins with an acceptance of truth. We are also graced with the presence of my dear colleague, Ambassador Joka Brand from the Netherlands, a country that has embarked on a path of confronting the legacy of its 300-year experience with slavery. Dear friends, exhibits such as this convey painful facts and highlight past wrongs, but they also remind us of our duty to reject and to dismantle racist structures and confront slavery's lasting legacy of marginalization, bigotry, and unequal opportunities for all. Only through learning the lessons of history can we truly build a more just, a more equal, and a more prosperous world for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Kabine. I'd like to invite now to the lectern, Her Excellency Ms. Batu Joyeni, Permanent Representative of the Republic of South Africa to the United Nations.
Thank you, dear